I lead the campus, and wonderful today because I'm introducing to you two new staff members. This is Paul and Evelyn Eddy, but Evelyn prefers Evie, so we'll just remember that. But really wonderful to have you guys with us.
Thanks,
and
Ash.
I'm going to dive straight into this. This is a little moment where you can be introduced to them, and so I've got a couple of questions here which I'm going to be asking them. Actually, some of them are very interesting, and so let's dial in straight away. But welcome, if you're with us for the very first time. We normally do this just for a couple of minutes after our main service on a Sunday, and you're most welcome. There's a vibe happening. This is pre-service because we're about to go into the next service, but just in the interim period, we're going to be doing this interview with Paul and Evie. So Paul and Evie, I mean, Paul, you're holding the mic, and we've got one mic to share between the two of them, but tell us a little bit about your background, you know, where you guys from, just so that the people can get a grasp of who you are.
We are from Durban, kind of grown up in Durban our whole lives, and up till 2 weeks ago, that's where we've been. You know, we moved up here to Bryanston 2 weeks ago. We both got saved at Church of the Good Shepherd, now Anthem Church. And yeah, been on staff there for 15 years, leading youth, leading worship, creative stuff. You know, it's been our life, you know, so that's the story. Durban, man.
Hey, all good things come from Durban, eh? But the longer you stay up here, you'll soon realize that the best view of Durban is in the rearview mirror. Okay, all right. I had to find that out for myself. All right, all the way Joburg. But really great to have you here. I mean, what we've got is Paul is a musician, and he's come up to lead our worship team, and he has Evie with him. But, you know, Evie is a teacher as well. I mean, so that's her expertise. And so I'm going to ask them, just both of them, what, Paul, first got you into music?
So I've got two older brothers and a younger sister, but when I was really young, about 9, 10 years old, my older brother would bring home these tapes back then of all the music that his mates were listening to, and it was obviously music that people my age weren't listening to, so I was never kind of conforming to the guys my age. It was always about 5 years ahead of me, and back then it was the Seattle grunge rock scene, and to be honest, it's still that. But yeah, so I mean, my dad would listen to the Beatles and Zeppelin and, you know, those kind of guys, Hendrix in the garage, and then it was my brother's influence of these Seattle groups, and I would stand with my cricket bat or my hockey stick with the fan string, you know, and sing along and just dream of being a rock star one day, and that was it for me, and it kind of never turned back. Yeah.
Your dad's got good taste when he speaks about Zeppelin and Hendrix, you know. But you and Dan Webster were big mates. Wasn't there something about you replacing him in a band as well?
That's right.
And that's when the band took off?
I'd never seen such success. New heights.
Yeah,
the ceiling was lifted right off, man.
So Dan, if you're watching, I mean, you know, either you're going to come back and interview and tell us it was different. But great. Well, what about you, Evie? I mean, what was your kind of what got you into teaching?
So I think I've always had an affinity and a love for children. Even from young, I was always the go-to carer or babysitter in the family or with family friends. And so when looking at what to do as I got older, it just almost seemed like a God-given gift, and just something that I'd always been drawn to. So it seemed like the natural choice almost. And so that's where, my direction to go and teach went to.
I think you already see the sweetness of spirit. Eh? Wonderful. We're absolutely thrilled that you're here.
Thank you, Ash.
And Little Flock is a great place just to
I've heard wonderful things.
And have a soft landing into the whole Joburg experience. Paul,
Thanks,
I'm going to ask you, and you just made reference to the fact that you like grunge. What is the kind of music you typically like to create?
So especially in more recent years, obviously with some of the worship stuff, you know, when you're creating worship music, it's not just about you. You got to create music that serves others, you know. And so I've kind of ventured in that realm. But at the end of the day, when it comes back to just my own preference, I just kind of go straight into rock and roll, you know, like loud guitars, big drums. And I just can't get away from that in my own personal preference, understanding it's not everyone's cup of tea.
So that's your instrument of choice, though, the guitar?
Guitar, yeah. Okay. Yeah, electric guitar, preferably, yeah.
Yeah. There's another question here I just want to look at. It says, what is the common myth about learning a musical instrument? And can you debunk that myth right here, right now?
Yeah, so a lot of people say when learning an instrument, theory kind of hinders your creativity. And so, don't bother with a theory. But if you had to look around at this campus and imagine trying to paint this campus without scaffolding, what a mission that would be.
Good point.
And not that I'm a theory, I'm saying that almost out of what I've learned, you know, out of almost regret. I don't have a load of music theory behind me. I've always been about the feel, but the more every musician has this ceiling, and you get to a point in your knowledge of your instrument that you hit the ceiling, and until you actually jam with someone else or sit with someone else, they break you through. But theory is that scaffolding that actually it's there to support new learning and breaking you and reaching new heights in your instrument. So I would recommend anyone find out as much about the theory, build that scaffolding, build that foundation as early as possible, and your creativity will be set up, you know?
One of the things we have on campus is a music academy, which is led by Laura Booker, and she has her master's in music.
Oh,
and
she's,
so we've got people like, we got a great drum teacher, Zach.
Yeah.
You know, Zach, you often see him leading worship, and so. Hearing what you say, that theory part of it, absolutely essential. I love the illustration that you used about we couldn't build this if we didn't have the scaffold.
Yeah.
You got to have blueprints, you know, and that's true for music. So lovely to hear that. So with reference to you, Eddy, I'm going to ask you a similar question, and that is, why is it people generally feel working with children must be extremely difficult? Can you debunk that myth, if you see it as?
So I think with children, people often, I would think, probably say, what happens if they don't like me, or what happens if I can't connect with them, and they can seem a little bit intimidating. But I actually think that children are a lot less intimidating than adults. I think that if you genuinely care for them and love them and show interest in them, they are so uncomplicated and they will totally respond to you. So I think if you drop your defenses and you just go in simply and humbly, you win them over. And I think that would be the myth that I would debunk around kids.
Sounds like a good mom and a good teacher. That's brilliant. Paul, what advice would you give to someone wanting to be part of the NCCB worship team?
Yeah. So what I've found in my experience of leading worship teams is that most people learn their instrument solo. They can be classically trained on piano, but they've still learned their instrument solo. Yeah. And the best advice I could give is to learn how to play with other people.
Yeah.
Worship is this collaborative expression. The corporate worship experience is this, we do this together, a part of you and a part of me. You know, it's classic church. You bring your contribution, I bring mine, and together they're supposed to create this heavenly sound and this heavenly tapestry when it all comes together. You know, the story of the church. And yet so often people come in and join a worship team having never practiced playing with other people and being able to interact musically and even socially with other people. And so step one, even if it's playing with music, put your headphones in and play along with. If you're a drummer, learn how to play to music, not just sitting with your drum sheet music or whatever it is and playing along, you know. Play with music, learn to play in time with the recording, and learn about those dynamics, playing off each other. That would be gold. And if possible, literally go and play at your mate's house.
Yes.
And jam with your mates. Yeah, I think that's key. Yeah.
So, I mean, you use the word collaborate. And what we're looking forward to is just the fact that lots of collaboration means lots of new songs, lots of new worship expression. And one of the things that we've felt to embrace is just the full artistic leaning, you know. So we even have Nathan who's busy building new sculptures at the moment. And they are absolutely magnificent because I've seen the end product. But that whole thing of just creating sound, creating music. So that sounds very, very wonderful.
Yeah.
You're married to this musician. And so I want to ask you this thing about, let me come to this here. It says, what is your favorite music memory? Because we want to know a little bit about you guys, you know. I mean, all of us at some point think about what got me into the whole thing of listening to music. So what is your favorite music memory?
So I think my favorite music memory, I don't have the same talent as Paul, and I'm not as into music as Paul is, if I'm very honest. Our home is filled with music, but I'm not the one always making it. But before Paul and I started dating, we were in a life group together, and after life group, he would take a CD player out and he would call me aside and he would put on all the classics like Pearl Jam and really school me in these. And to be honest, I have an affinity for some and not all of it, but I think that's probably my favorite music memory is back in those early days.
Wow. Everyone's singing along with headphones into.
Oh, yes. So I don't know if this is my favorite memory, maybe yours. But I had headphones in and I was worshiping along to Brad Klainsmith's first worship album that he had done, and Nasir Vinant was singing with him, and I was quite lost in the moment, and the next thing I just feel something shaking next to me, and I open my eyes and look at Paul, and he has tears streaming down his face, and he is trying so hard not to laugh at how I sound. but I always think that God, he knows my heart, and I make a joyful noise.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know how hard it is to sing and tune when you got headphones in, but man, it was funny to listen to.
Well, what was yours then? What is your first favorite music memory?
Oh, definitely. I had a rock band called Lieutenant Vinyl in Durban with with my brother on bass and a mate on drums. And I mean, a couple of those shows, there was a venue called Live the Venue. Durban's not known for its music venues and its music scene at all, unfortunately. But for a season, this venue was hot. Yeah. And we played in a Battle of the Bands, actually. It was called Battle for Splashy. And we got to the final of this Battle of the Bands. We didn't win. The band who won deservingly. They were a great band. But man, we just played our hearts out. You know, like, we got off stage and I was like, I don't care if we won. To me, we won.
Your moment of fame.
We won. And man, it was like on your knees, just rocking out. It was like, I think that for me, I was like, oh, to do that again. But yeah, I think when I think of playing music, I think of that kind of moment, just literally living that dream of a 10-year-old with a cricket bat and a fan string, you know? Like,
what a great picture. All right, let's get a little more serious here. Many people believe that being a worship pastor or a children's teacher is challenging to the point it becomes overwhelming and too much to handle. Why do you think people believe it? Let's start with you.
So I think with children's ministry, there is some prep involved, and there's got to be a certain energy level and that you've got to come with. But actually, you'll find that the more you do it, the more it energizes you. And I actually had a thought this morning or last night, but I think that if you have a heart to see people come into God's kingdom and want to see people get saved, working with children is the best platform. Wonderful. They are so open and receptive to the gospel,
that's brilliant.
And that energizes you more than anything. And so I think, just this myth of I'm too tired or I don't have enough to give. Yes. I think the moment you get in there with the children, it actually you start to pick up what they have, and the more you share and the more you see them respond, that response is golden, and you'll want to keep going back for more.
That's brilliant. Brilliant. Paul?
I think working with creatives is generally a difficult thing. You know, most people see it that way. And I am one, so I can empathize. And any creative expression, there's so many variables. There's no objectivity. It's like, I like this, and that's cool. Yet the person next door likes this, and that's cool. And so now when you've got a worship team trying to collaborate, you've got all these different expressions that you've got to try and navigate. And I think that's why for me, the answer has to be heart. Like a genuine unity and a respect and honor for one another. That's, if you don't have those things in a worship team, your history, because how do you manage all of those differences and those variables without me being able to actually lay down my preference for your sake, you know?
Very good.
And so I think that's it. I think when you're working on the expression more than you're working on the heart is where you're going to go wrong. But when you work on the heart, man, the expression is going to be this beautiful thing that just shines. Yeah. So, and that's what I'm hoping to do here at NCCB, you know?
Here's a little fun question coming up here. and that is describe your life using film titles.
You go first.
Oh, he gives it to his wife first, eh?
So I thought of a few, but I think I'm going to stick with The Sound of Music.
Oh, hello.
Because sometimes my 3 children feel like the 7 children of the Von Trapp family, but also just because our home is filled with music. My little girl, like Paul, used to use the string from the fan. She uses the taps in the bath as her microphones. So you'll walk past the bath and she'll be singing in the bath. We often have the piano being played, Paul's playing his guitar, and often just music in the background. So I would say The Sound of Music is our title.
Hey, listen, before you hand the mic to Paul, you mentioned your children. I don't think
Yes.
we've spoken about them. Come on, Mom. Yeah, we've got some time. Tell us about your kids.
So we have 3 beautiful children. Judah is 9 and Olivia is 6. And then we have our latest addition, Charlotte, who's 14 months old.
Yeah.
And yeah, they are just absolute treasures. Yeah,
Wonderful.
we really
That's
love them
great.
to pieces.
Oh, good to hear. Paul, tell us.
Well, as I said earlier, we're from Durban, so I would say Endless Summer is a good movie title.
Well, they got no clue what Endless Summer
Sorry
is.
about
okay?
that. You're going to have to
Okay.
get with the program.
Well, there you go. Endless Summer is the first classic surf movie that was made that still lives long and true
Yeah.
today. And so, all right, well, he's scoring points.
Well, there were a couple of movie titles. But there's another documentary with Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin, The Edge from U2, and Jack White from the White
Yeah.
Stripes called
Yeah.
It Might Get Loud.
Yes.
And I think that would be an appropriate one
Yeah,
for me
yeah.
as well.
Oh, I like that. I saw that on an aeroplane. I was
did
flying
you?
somewhere.
Okay.
And I actually bought it.
Oh, no
and I ended
way.
up getting 2 copies of It Might Get Loud. So,
there we go.
You know
There
what I'm
we go.
saying? I mean, well, that really gives you away in terms of where your heart is at, dude. 3 of the greatest lead guitar players ever. And yeah, I've watched that over and over
There's
and over.
no way.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's pretty cool. Right, I want to ask you this. If you were the CEO of a company, name one thing that you would make compulsory in the office and one thing that you would ban in the office for both of you.
What a
Compulsory.
Sure, compulsory. Every week, every person in the organization, there must be a report up, care down system. Everyone needs to have someone that they report up to, and that person they report up to is caring down.
That's
so
cool.
every person has a voice upwards and someone making sure that their needs are
Wow.
being met.
That's pretty cool.
And then that was actually Tony Rainbow. Just give credit there. I heard it from Tony. So, and then banned. I would say criticism without pointing someone to their potential.
Yeah.
I would say that. Yeah.
That's cool. Come on, Eddy.
Gosh.
Compulsory.
So compulsory, I was actually thinking of having a meal together at least once a week just to build community and everyone sit at a big table, and from the highest CEO to the whoever sits in the reception or whatever it is, but just that there's a level playing field and we eat and share a meal. I just feel that it builds community, and I think I would ban you from the office if your family needed you, if there was a child sick or something that they needed that was of vital importance, then I would ban you to coming to
Wow.
work.
Quality, eh? Well, while you've got the microphone,
Yes.
crayon box on the table.
Yes.
What color are you?
I would be the green, I think, because I think I am pretty down to earth and natural, and so yeah, green reminds me of nature.
Paul, I'm interested.
I would go for aqua blue because I feel like I have a. That was just the color that kind of came to my mind, as you know. But I think I have a calming effect on people. I remember the one time I feel like I heard the audible voice of God, aged 18. He was, "You will bring unity wherever you go."
Amazing.
And like, I was like, what?
Wow.
Audible. And I feel like I am able to diffuse, you know, and bring a calm and serenity to situations. So,
So what is the funniest thing that's happened to you recently? Both of you.
Oh, man. I don't know.
Oh, they're
You go
laughing
for it.
already. This could be interesting.
So we obviously haven't driven much along the route from Durban to Joburg, and so making this trip up was
By the way, that's the only good thing that ever came out of Durban, was the road to Joburg. Huh?
was the way to- So anyway, we passed through a toll, and the children, as they do, say, "Oh, we need the loo, we need the loo." And so we drive, and eventually we find what we think is an okay place to stop. And it's a bit of a mission, like opening doors. We realize that we've stopped in a place where there's traffic coming down the hill, so we're trying to shield them, and a bridge, and it's all a bit awkward. And anyway, long story short, we finally all get back in the car, and off we go. And about a minute later, we see this beautiful garage. Toilet signs, and we thought, oh, if only we had known to just wait that minute longer. But we all had a good laugh and carried on the trip.
That's pretty cool.
I'm not sure if I have one other than that one, you know? Not off the top of my head.
All right, well, let me get into this
Yeah.
one, because we need to finish up here.
Okay, cool.
Finish the sentence. If you really knew me, then you would know that I...
Have a phobia of geckos. Which I believe Star has the same
Yeah,
phobia.
yeah.
We've
But you
connected
gotta know.
deeply on that one.
Joburg is gecko heaven, eh? Wherever you look, there's geckos, dude.
Well, so far I found it, I mean, Durban in February, March is savage for geckos. So
Well-
so far it's been pretty good.
Well, all right. And if you really knew me, then you would know that I...
So Ash, we would connect over the fact that I have written some children's stories.
Oh, wonderful.
And in lockdown, I had a little project of having my first children's book published.
Hello.
So,
That's brilliant.
So yeah, it
Oh, this
was
is exciting,
a
man.
lockdown project, and I worked
Yeah.
with a great illustrator in Durban, and we
Yeah.
put together my little story, and so it was wonderful. It's called Mr. Hobbledy-Hoo, and it was beautiful to see it come to life.
I think that's
Yeah,
brilliant.
yeah.
That really excites me. That's wonderful.
Thanks, Ash.
All right, now, in our interview with you guys, well, a couple of questions we omitted to ask. And so I've got permission now to ask you these questions. So you can answer them collectively or just on your own. But, all right, can you name 3 consecutive days without using the words Wednesday, Friday, or Saturday? Can you name 3 consecutive days without using the words Wednesday, Friday, or Saturday?
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
You are wrong. It didn't ask for weekdays. It just said days. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Not good. All right, so 1-0. Okay. Can you describe the color yellow to someone who is blind?
It's like the feeling of the sun on your skin on a warm day.
I think that's brilliant. Hey, Paul, you're a bit behind there.
Yeah,
eh?
I am.
All right, you've been given an elephant. You can't give it away or sell it. What would you do with the elephant, Paul?
Can't give it away or sell it.
Remember, this is like...
I'd certainly learn to ride it.
Okay, who would win a fight, Spider-Man or Batman?
Batman. I love Batman.
Batman?
You want to fight?
Yeah, I reckon I back Batman. Batman even beats Superman because he uses his brains.
All right, okay. Last question. Any advice for your previous boss?
Oh gosh. You go.
I'm teasing. I know,
I was the
Richard and
previous
Jackie.
boss, so-
Yeah, you were your previous boss. You got off with it. Hey, it's been wonderful to chat. We better get back into the
Thanks,
meeting.
Ash.
But wonderful to have this couple and their family join us. And we're absolutely thrilled that you guys are here. We're looking forward to just